Welcome back to another episode of Revealing Biblical Truths. In today's video, we'll be going over Leviticus Chapters 14 to 16. Before we get started, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment down below on your thoughts on this section. Beginning in chapter 17, Yah tells Moshe that no one is to kill any ox, lamb, or goat except it be for one of the sacrifices previously mentioned, and if he does, he should be cut off from his people. Additionally, if someone offers a burnt offering but doesn't bring it to the tabernacle, he is also cut off. This command was for the purpose of eliminating sacrifices to idols, but only to Yah. Yah further explains that no one should eat blood, and that those who do will be cut off, and that he will turn his face from them. He says that the life of the flesh is in the blood, and that he has given it to you on the altar of atonement. It is the blood that makes atonement for sin. But let's take a closer look at what that word means in Hebrew. The word for life there is Strong's number 5315, and it means nefesh. It means the soul or living being. So literally, our souls are contained within our blood. It's what gives us the life. He goes on to say that any animal that was hunted and killed for food, that the blood must be drained out and dust put over it. And any animal that dies of natural means, including those being killed by other animals, you must not eat, because then you are unclean, and you must wash yourself and your clothes. In Leviticus 18, Yah says that we should not act like or do the laws of the Egyptians or the Canaanites, but that we should keep his laws and statutes. If we keep his laws, we will live because of it. Changing subjects somewhat, Yah explains that we should not uncover the nakedness of our close relatives, and by that he means we are not to have sexual relations with them. This includes your father, mother, stepmother, sister, stepsister, grandchildren, half-sister, uncles, aunts, and daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, grandchildren-in-law. In addition, it is commanded that we not have relations with a woman who is in an unclean condition, such as on her period. We are not to have relations with our neighbor's wife, and here's a major one: do not sacrifice our children to Molech or any other false god. In verse 22, it says not to commit homosexual relations. It is an abomination, something Yah absolutely hates. In verse 23, it says not to have sexual relations with animals. Ew. He also says that the nations he is casting out for the Israelites, they have done all these things, so he is vomiting them out of the land, and whoever does any of these abominations will also be cut off from the people. At the beginning of chapter 19, Yah reiterates some of the commands previously given, including honoring parents, keeping the Sabbath days, eating the offerings, and harvesting crops. He says that the corners of the field and vineyard are for the poor and needy to eat from. Do not steal or lie, and judge in righteousness, but with no partiality towards anyone. Do not hate, hold a grudge, or take revenge on anyone. In verse 19, Yah mentions a few commands discussing the mingling of different kinds. First of all, he says to keep the cattle kind separate and not to mingle them together. Next, don't sow a field with mingled seed. And lastly, don't wear any garments that are linen mixed with wool. When people mingle different kinds of seeds together, the end result is an abomination and not what Yah has intended. This goes for hybrid plants, hybrid animals, GMOs, and indeed refers back also to the Watchers who mingled themselves with women and produced the Nephilim giants of old. When talking about wool and linen being mixed, there is a scientific principle at work here. In 2003, a study was done by a Jewish doctor, Heidi Yellen, on the frequencies of fabrics. According to this study, the human body has a signature frequency of about 100 hertz, and organic cotton is the same, 100 hertz. The studies show that if a number is lower than 100 hertz, it puts a strain on the body. A diseased, nearly dead person has a frequency of about 15 hertz, and that is actually where polyester, rayon, and silk register. Non-organic cotton registers a signature at frequency of about 70 hertz. However, if the fabric has a higher frequency, it actually gives energy to the body. This is where linen comes in, as a super fabric. The linen frequency is about 5,000 hertz. Wool also is 5,000 hertz, but when mixed together with linen, the frequencies cancel each other out and fell to zero. Even when wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen outfit, and a study collapsed the electrical field. The reason for this could be that the energy field of wool flows from left to right, while that of linen flows in the opposite direction, from right to left. So Yah knew what he was doing yet again when he told us not to mix these two fabrics. It was for our health. In addition, the higher the frequency of a fabric such as linen, the better the healing properties it has. Maybe also that is why the priests had to wear pure linen garments when they came in contact with people with various diseases, as well as performing their duties in the tabernacle. In verse 23, he explains that fruit from trees are not to be eaten if they are 3 years or less. On the 4th year, the fruit is to be given to Yah as a firstfruits offering, and then on the 5th year, people can eat it. In verse 26, he repeats not to consume blood, or to practice divination or soothsaying, observing the stars like astrology does, or using sorcery or magic. In verse 27, he says not to round the corners of your head or mar the corners of the beard. These practices specifically of deforming your head and beard were pagan practices, dedicated to pagan gods, and Yah did not want us to practice these things that they did. He continues in verse 28, where he says not to make cuttings in the flesh to honor the dead, nor print any tattoos on your body. Once again, these were pagan practices, and our bodies are to be dedicated to Him and be holy and set apart. So are tattoos sinful? According to this verse, yes, they are. No matter how you justify it or think it is right, Yah says is not right. He wants your body to be holy, pure and undefiled. In verse 31, he says not to consult with those who have familiar spirits, also called mediums or psychics, and not to consult with wizards, those who practice magic. He says to treat those who are strangers with love. And lastly, he says to use just weight and measures, and in righteousness. And that's it for this chapter. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll be discussing the judgments of those who do not keep the laws we've been talking about previously. Thanks for watching. Till next time, Shalom.